three.
All right, greetings and thank you for joining Sonship Communication Presents Express Yourself, where we deal with relevant issues and views to the African American community. I'm Ibrahim Walker, and we are honored to have the director of one of the best documentaries that I've ever seen. You know, in the 21st century or 20th century. That's how old I am. And I want to introduce Yoruba Richen. How you doing, sister?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for your patience. I had a little technical. I apologize for that
No
because I
worries.
don't like to be detained. Anyway, please, for those people, this is going to be on our YouTube channel. Please tell us about the documentary American Coup, if you would.
Yeah, so American Coup, Wilmington, 1898, is about the insurrection and coup that occurred in Wilmington, North Carolina in 1898. Wilmington was a thriving majority Black community that, like many communities actually outside at the dawn of the Reconstruction period, it was a port city. It had many thriving Black business owners who actually competed with white business owners. It had a paper that was the only daily paper, African American paper. And in 1898, the white supremacists is what they called themselves. They were the Democrats at the
Wow.
time. Um, Said, this can't happen anymore. We can't have Black people in these positions. There was also a mixed race government that had formed out of an alliance between the white populists and the Black Republicans, called Fusion, and this prompted the white supremacists, who were the Democrats, the business owners at the time, the Chamber of Commerce folks, to plan, perpetuate, and enact a coup that got rid of the fusion folks, the mixed race government, and then proceeded to so it was a political coup, and then proceeded to massacre many Black people and drive them out of the city. Um, and Wilmington then became a majority white city, and the state instituted Jim Crow 2 years later. And then there wasn't another elected Black official from statewide from Wilmington until 1992.
That's a serious tragedy. Let me ask you, how did you get started with the research and the production of the documentary?
Yep, and I'll just say one quick thing as
Sure.
well is that the coup and massacre was perpetuated, justified, and really, uh, really came about because of the newspapers. The newspapers were printing misinformation, articles. One of the leaders of the coup and insurrection is a man named Josephus Daniels, who was owner of the Raleigh paper, the Raleigh News and Observer. And there were racist cartoons. There's a myth of Black men raping white women. So that all happened through the newspapers. So misinformation is something that, we have seen from the beginning. And in terms of I'm a co-director of the film with my partner, Brad Lichtenstein. Brad and I had made a previous film that was on PBS's Frontline about that dealt with some similar themes of racial terror, of buried history. And we also had descendants of both the perpetuators and the victims as part of the story. And that's what we also did here. And so PBS North Carolina came to us and said that wanted to know if we wanted to be a part of this, to direct this film, and we were immediately interested. I knew something about it, but nothing in detail. And one of the first things that we did is read the book Wilmington's Lie which had won a Pulitzer Prize a few years back. And David Zucchino, that author, is on our board of advisors, and we interview him in the film. So that really laid out, sort of very clearly what were the events and the context and who some of the main actors were. So that gave us our start.
How long did it take for you to produce the documentary?
With the whole team, it's so we had, PBS North Carolina, which are producers. American Experience came in at some point during the process. We had to raise some money before, getting these before solidifying our partners. But it took about 3 years, three and a
Wow.
half years.
Wow. I just want to also add, I'm gonna let some of the our associates comment, like Mr. Mukhtar and Abdul Sultan Millionaire comment, but I thought it was incredible how you had the survivors and the descendants rather coming. I mean, that was very that was very powerful. That's very noteworthy.
Yeah, we knew from the beginning that we wanted those voices. This history is still with us. It's has been buried, as we know. Many people don't know. Most people don't know about the events, and it was deliberately buried. And the families are also just discovering that they're part of this history, both
Right.
Black and white families. And we were fortunate in that Black families and one white family member who we feature, one white descendant who we feature in the film, Lucy, had started to come together around this, and meet and work to bring to light these events and to honor them and to honor their memory and to find out more. And so we were able to connect with them, and then do our own, further research to bring in other descendants.
And it was a fantastic job. Brother Mukhtar, did you have a question or a comment?
Uh, yeah, I just really want to thank the sister and congratulate her on doing a very good, job. I just wonder, how I would like to see the reaction of, people to this because I don't know if it's been seen by enough people to because to me
I agree.
this is something that should be talked about more, shown more, and people in the circle that I know when I ask them, "Did you see the Wilmington? See the documentary?" No, I didn't see it. And so I really, but I also see why people like Ron DeSantis, Florida, and Texas. We're here in Texas. Why they want to bury this type of history and
Sure.
the effort is to cover it up because what happened in Wilmington is that's exactly what they did. They even tried to put, some of the areas where the massacre, they tried to pour concrete over it and hide things. And then, the newspaper articles and this type of things were, so, there's a big effort to cover it up. So I think what the sister did, we have to make sure it's not covered up because there's a lot of other stories exactly like that all across the United States.
That's right. Well, one thing you can do is when they say they haven't seen them, give them the link. It's streaming on PBS.
Okay.
It's streaming on if you go to American Experience, American Coup, it's streaming there. It's streaming on Passport, which is the PBS app. And one thing that we hope will, get it out, that we know will get it out there more, is that we are planning a big education and impact campaign with the film. So we will be working with local groups in North Carolina and nationally to bring the film into schools, into educational institutions, libraries, community organizations. This is only the beginning. The broadcast is only the beginning of the process.
That's awesome. Abdul Sultan, Patrick Millen, did you have a comment as well? I don't
Um,
know if his mic is up. Did you have
Do you actually think they'll allow it in the schools under the circumstances of today?
I'm sorry.
Do you think that they would allow it into the school system under, the system that is going on today?
Yeah, well, you mentioned DeSantis and some other folks. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it is now taught in North Carolina in Wilmington, the
awesome?
coup in elementary schools. I think I forget there's
Oh
like a certain part of the curriculum. We of course want that expanded, and as we
man,
know, there is incredible pushback right now. So we shall see. But there are many organizations that are working to counter this. Many people that are working to counter
I'm
this.
sure.
So we think this film will be a tool for that and to teach, hard history, to teach history that has been covered up.
Yeah. Not only was it Wilmington, but it was like 22 other Black cities
Yeah.
that I know of
Yeah,
that
the
that
absolutely.
same thing happened.
Yeah, I forget what the number is, but the thing that was unique about Wilmington was the political coup part of it. We know things happen in Atlanta and Tulsa and other parts of the South, and not just the South for sure, but where Black communities were attacked, they were driven out, they were killed. But what sort of makes Wilmington unique is that there was also there was an insurrection.
wow.
Insurrection by
By the white supremacists who I just
Right,
described,
okay.
who
right.
who forcibly removed the mixed race government
And,
that
and and how did it get into motion?
The white supremacists came together. Josephus Daniel, who was the head of the publisher of the News and Observer, and they literally plotted and met. They were called the Secret Nine and said, we got to stop this. So they plotted for many months beforehand, and they had a campaign of disinformation, misinformation of Negroes are taking over, Negro rule, they're raping Black men, are raping white women. And I should mention Alex Manley, who was the editor of the publisher of the Black newspaper, the Daily Record, was writing articles against this, saying this is not true. This is, these are lies. And in fact, white women, in fact, Black men and white women have entered into many times consensual relationships, and that Black women were the ones who were being raped by white men, and no one was saying that. And so he wrote this editorial, was saying anything about that. He wrote this editorial in response, and that was probably about maybe in August of 1898, and that became the sort of the match that lit the fire. It was deliberate because they knew he was writing about this stuff, and they brought in speakers, incendiary speakers who were, ex-Confederates, who were politicians, local politicians, to really rile up the crowd. There was speeches given at Thalian Hall, which is featured in the film. It's also where we had a screening of the film in Wilmington that, where they declared, for white people, riling them up. They declared a white man's declaration, and then they got the troops, the shock troops on the ground, the red shirts, who did the dirty work of being in the streets, intimidating Black voters, and eventually massacring. So there were the folks up top who were the planners, the businessmen, the money men, and then there were the shock troops who were on the ground enacting this coup and insurrection.
All
You
premeditated.
know, the tactic that they use is being still used today
True.
by Trump and Republican. They did the very same thing. They're doing it now with they're eating the pets, they're eating the dinos, and Trump talking,
Misinformation.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
disinformation, and you saw how Fox, Sean Hannity, all these other people, they are the ones that build that crowd up, or that did the January the 6th. I was following the news. You had people actually on the radio talking about, hey, let's do this civil war now. It's gonna be a civil war.
Yeah.
And so a lot of misinformation about also the election and how it was stolen, this type of thing. So they could do the same thing today, what I'm saying, because people are still, that same mentality still exists today amongst a certain element of the population that are easily, take misinformation and act on it in a violent way.
Well, you know what they say, you tell a lie enough and it becomes true.
Unfortunate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And these, we've talked about, how the echoes of the past resonate today, and we see that in a lot of different ways.
Well,
Well,
it's mind-boggling after 70 years being here that, that you find out details, like this,
Yeah.
it's even more disheartening.
well, what I do want to say, sister, before you leave, we at Sonship, this is the type of work we want to do, and this is what we want to do is educate our people. So we'll be glad to assist. We can keep in touch because we have some brothers here in Texas, Brother Mutar and myself. We will try to help if you want to get it to. That's what Brother Mutar is in the public schools. I have a son in the public schools as well, but we also have contacts maybe at Texas Southern University, which is a HBCU.
Yeah.
So at the least resort, when you're ready, we'll probably help you bring it to whatever we have to do to bring the Texas Southern just for the showing. Not so sure about
Well, we
not so sure
have,
about the school system. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, we have a, as I said, an organization that we're working with to bring
Okay.
it to the universities and the schools.
Okay.
So
Good.
if you shoot me an email, I can pass it
Okay.
on to them.
Okay.
And we would love to do a screening there.
Yeah. I mean that's what's needed. I mean,
Yeah.
the engineer Clarence and I, we alumni from Howard University, and Clarence
Yeah.
he works at Howard, so maybe we can get something. We just try to do whatever we can because this is I
Do
mean, I
you
have
have my,
grandchildren.
absolutely. Do you have my email? We do. Yes, of course.
Yeah, because I sent you the
Yes.
link. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'll send you something. I'll send you and I'll send you Clarence, the director, technical director. I'll send you his as well.
Okay.
And we whatever we could do, because this is, like I said, we need to get this out. I mean, just as Abdul Sultan mentioned, this is like about 20 cities. And the thing about it, you have to be organized because history, you'll be doomed to repeat this if you're not
That's right.
organized. And
That's right.
that's just the way it is. And so you have to be vigilant, put it that way, because
Yeah.
Once again, what's the name of the documentary?
American Coup, Wilmington, 1898.
Right.
You can give him the information.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Thank you again, Sister Yoruba. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Keep up the good works, and we
Thank you
will
so
stay in touch.
much. Thank you
And
for having
peace be.
me.
Yeah,
Thank
which
you.
could have been longer.
Right.
Yes.
Well, we should be able to do it again. Maybe in February we got Black History Month coming up, and maybe we could do it again. God willing.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys have a great week. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
again.
you.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
Peace be with you.
You too.